have reviewed a lot of gaming PCs over the past year, but this review is a little bit different and even more informative. We've got right here two almost identical CLX gaming PCs, one with an AMD CPU and the other with Intel. We've spent days thoroughly testing and benchmarking both to help you decide first of all if either one is worth it, and if so, which of these two is right for you. This is our 100% honest review of the CLX Set. First couple of small boxes that are in here are a pretty basic RGB membrane keyboard. Nothing too special, but it does feel pretty comfortable, and the key presses were solid despite the keyboard being basically free. We've also got a basic gaming mouse that actually does not feel cheap. The clicks themselves were almost as high quality as those expensive $100 mice that I've tested. I also think it's got a pretty decent design. The one that came in the box for the Intel version of this PC though came pre-scratched, so that was fun. Usually when you first get these mice, they come in plastic bags, and this one did not have that. Next thing in here is a very formal declaration of conformity, and then a quick start guide with some very basic and obvious instructions. Inside this black CLX box, we've got an RGB remote, your typical massive power cable, extra PCIe cables, SATA cables in case you have extra hard drives that you want to add later, Molex cables, a USB to fan or RGB converter, and then lastly, your MSI Wi-Fi antenna. Now getting into the design and internals, we're going to be focusing on the AMD version of this CLX set since I know that's what you guys care about the most. The most important thing to compare with these two is the performance, and we're going to get to that here in a sec. At 9 inches wide, 17.3 inches deep, and 19 inches tall, and 28 pounds, this is kind of on the smaller end compared to the others that I've reviewed. This PC is built with the Phanteks XT-View chassis, and there's really nothing too special or extra unique about it, but I do think this LED strip along the bottom edge is a nice little touch. We've got 6 fans total in this case. These 2 on the back are intakes and the other 4 are exhausts, and these 3 at the top are actually part of our all-in-one liquid cooling system. For those of you new to this is the most important part of keeping your CPU cool. This CPU cooling block right here uses a liquid to transfer the heat from the CPU up through these tubes into a 360mm radiator at the top where the heat is spread out and then blown out the top. To the right of our CPU, we've got our XPG RGB DDR5 RAM at 5600 MHz. 2 16GB sticks for a total of 32. The Intel version of this PC actually has 64 gigabytes of RAM, which is way more than any game even needs right now, but it could be very helpful for intensive creative tasks like 4K editing, motion graphics work, or 3D modeling and animation. Below the CPU and behind this metal heatsink is our SSD, which is our main drive that our operating system is installed on. This one they included in here is a 2TB Patriot P300. It's more of a budget-friendly drive that's nowhere near as fast as some of the other PCs that I've tested. This one tested at around 3600 megabytes per second read and about 2600 write. One of the slowest that I've seen in a top tier pre-built. You won't really notice a performance hit when playing games, but it will take just a little bit longer to load games that have high resolution textures. Now the most important part of this PC and the most costly, this graphics card. The one included in the AMD version is the white Gigabyte Aero 5080 GPU, while the one in the Intel version actually had a different larger Gigabyte 5080. The exact 5080 that you're going to get will largely depend on what CLX currently has in stock at the time that you purchase. Most of them perform pretty similar to each other though. Underneath the GPU, on this MSI Pro X870P Wi-Fi motherboard, we've also got 2 more full-size PCIe slots for any expansion cards that you might want to add, and then 2 more SSD slots for more high-speed storage. The Intel version actually uses an ASRock Z790C motherboard, and on that one you actually have 3 extra SSD slots. Then swinging around to the back and removing the back panel, you can see we've got 3 more bays for 2.5-inch SATA SSDs for even more high-speed storage, and then down in the bottom left is just 1 single slot for an extra 3.5-inch mechanical hard drive. And then lastly in the bottom right, our MSI Mag A850GL PCIe 850 watt modular 80 plus gold power supply, which is a solid PSU with pretty good ratings. For the ports on the top, we've got a power button, reset button, headphone and microphone combo jack, USB-C and USB-A, a mode button for controlling your RGB animations, and your RGB color button. On the back, a dedicated flash BIOS button, clear CMOS button, an HDMI for connecting directly to your motherboard just in case case your graphics card is malfunctioning, 10 more USBs, and this top one with insane speeds of 40 gigabits per second. Then we've got a 5G Ethernet port, connectors for your Wi-Fi 7 antennas, microphone, line out, and line in. And then on the back of our 5080 GPU, 1 HDMI and 3 display ports. Now the main software that you'll be using with this PC is the MSI Center app. Right here in the user scenario section, you can set your fan profiles based on whether you prefer a cooler experience but louder fans, specifically when doing heavy tasks that typically generate a lot more heat, or maybe balanced or silent and bring the fan noise down when your computer isn't really doing that much. You can also set your own speeds for the fans in here if you go into customize. The Mystic Light section of this tab will give you the ability to customize all of your RGB lighting effects and animations. And then you've also got a live update section to get the most recent drivers and utilities. And then for those of you that like to tweak settings even further or get into overclocking, you've got plenty of your typical settings and options within the BIOS as well. Now for the fan noise, these are my results after testing each of the main fan profiles in a somewhat quieter than normal room. In quiet mode, it was about 42.5 decibels. And then when moving up into performance mode, it brought the fan noise up to about 45.6 decibels. You can see here that it was about average when the computer was idle and not really doing that much. But when the computer was in performance mode while gaming, it was actually louder than average. I wouldn't really say it's annoying though. It's not really something that you notice if you have your game music and sound effects at a reasonable volume. Now for the thermals, you can see in our thermal imaging time lapse from computer off to full on gaming that just like most gaming PCs, heat does start to build up against the glass right next to the GPU. Opening up the glass panel reveals in detail what's happening as the side of this 5080 GPU does generate quite a bit of heat. Most of that heat successfully escaped out the back and top exhaust fans though. The large majority of my thermal testing was spent in actual gameplay though. These were our CPU temps for several different games at 1080p. While the Intel version didn't get dangerously hot by any means, this chart shows just how much hotter it was than the AMD version. And then averaging all 1080p gaming temperatures data and comparing these two versions of this PC with many of the other gaming pre-builts that we've reviewed, you can see just how much cooler overall the AMD version is next to the other top tier gaming PCs. Then moving up to our average 4K gaming temperature tests, I organized this chart by the GPU because high resolution gaming puts a lot more pressure on the GPU and less on the CPU. Here you can see that they've actually swapped places. The larger version of the 5080 GPU and the Intel version of the CLX set ran quite a bit cooler than the AMD version did. Pretty impressive that the Intel one actually had a GPU that was one of the coolest that we've ever had in a top tier gaming pre-built, except for obviously the ones with water-cooled GPUs. Now it's time for the performance and gaming benchmarks, and up next, the most important part of this review, the price to performance ratios. For Cinebench R23, which simulates its 3D rendering power, the 14th gen i9 version of this PC was the clear winner with a score of over 36,000, and the 9800X3D only hitting around 23,500. By the way, all rendering software can utilize multiple cores, so that's the most important score here. And looking at the charts, you can see that as expected, the 9800X3D AMD version of this PC performed pretty poorly compared to many of the other PCs that we reviewed in the past. That version is not the one that you're going to want to get if you do a lot of 3D rendering, but the Intel version did exceptionally well here, right where it should be compared to the other PCs that we've tested with 14th gen i9s. Nothing even comes close to the rendering performance of that Corsair Vengeance i8-300 that we just tested though. And another very helpful test for you 3D renderers is the V-Ray benchmark. And these were our CUDA, RTX, and overall V-Ray performance scores. For the GPU scores, you can see that as expected, all three of these next-gen pre-builts with 5080 GPUs performed about the same to each other despite being different brands. This is an important score if you're doing a lot of high polygon 3D modeling or real-time viewport rendering and lighting. The overall V-Ray performance score though is a CPU-based rendering test that demonstrates how well a PC can handle the more advanced realistic rendering that takes a lot longer to calculate. And this chart further confirms that if you're a creator looking for the best overall multi-core rendering machine, the 285K and that Corsair Vengeance i8-300 is definitely going to give you the most power. And the last CPU-bound benchmarks for creatives before we get into gaming are the Puget Benchmarks. These were the Adobe Premiere scores that we got for both the Intel and AMD versions of the CLX pre-built. As you can imagine, that Corsair Vengeance i8-300 that we just reviewed is again at the top, but these two PCs did not do too bad either. Both of them about average compared to the rest. And this was further confirmed by our DaVinci Resolve benchmark benchmark, which is another editing software. For this chart, I only compared the most recent next-gen PCs because a major change happened in this benchmark, which completely changed how it works. So I really didn't feel like it was fair to compare with anything else that happened before that change. For 3D Mark, which is a great benchmark used to determine a computer's overall gameability, we plugged in these overall graphic and CPU scores from both versions into our master chart, and you can see here that overall its performance looks to be just under what last-gen pre-builts with 4090 GPUs were capable of. Now, actual gaming benchmarks are probably what you guys care the most about though. These were our average FPS results that we got for several games at their highest preset settings in HD. Side by side, you can see that for the most part, the 9800X 3D version of this PC did have a bit more of an advantage at this resolution, with overall higher average FPS and higher 1% lows. And then after averaging all the FPS from all the games and then combining them, we created this chart which shows where the most recent next-gen pre-builts that we reviewed stand side by side. And as some of you already expected, the PC with the 9800X 3D was the overall winner at this resolution. And then taking those averages and putting them up next to many of the past gaming PCs from last gen, this gives us an even better overall perspective on how these PCs stack up against the competition. Because the 9800X 3D version of this CLX set did so well at this resolution, it almost had the highest average FPS that we've ever seen in a pre-built gaming PC, nearly tying a PC with a super powerful 4090. The Intel version a little further down at 5th place overall. Then at 1440p, the AMD version lost a little bit of steam, dropping from 2nd to 6th, and the Intel version down to 11th. Then moving up to 4K gaming, the Intel and AMD versions almost tied. This is due to the fact that gaming at higher resolutions is more about the GPU and less about the CPU. And then breaking it down game by game, this chart shows specifically what you can expect for both versions for each game at 4K. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 FPS numbers were from its in-game benchmark since it's the most consistent, but I also physically played that game for a while, and you can see here just how incredible these graphics look at the highest presets at 4K. For the lowest 1% to be almost 80 FPS at these graphics settings is pretty impressive. This 30 FPS YouTube video does not do it justice. If you want to check out my actual raw gameplay benchmarking video at 60 FPS with all the live stats for all these games, then click on my link up here or down in the description below, or using a QR code if you're watching on a TV. Now, as far as factoring the price to performance of this PC, right now at the time of this recording, the Intel version is $3250 and the AMD version just $50 more at $3300. You can see in this overall price to performance chart that compared to the other PCs that we've tested, both of these PCs have a pretty low dollar per FPS ratio, which is a good thing. Many of these PCs are now no longer in stock though, so when we condense down to only what's currently available, we can see that both of these CLX PCs have a very similar ratio, and actually the best value for a top tier PC if you plan to game at this resolution, with the AMD version being the better deal between the two. Then at 1440p, their price to performance ratios are actually exactly the same. And then at 4K, they nearly topped the chart. Right behind them is that Alienware Aurora R16, which performed significantly better at that resolution with its 4090 GPU. But since there's almost no PCs that are left with 4090 GPUs, they have increased the price of that PC, which gave it a slightly more expensive ratio than these two PCs. It used to have an even more insane price to performance ratio before the 4090s went out of stock. I did do a bunch of searching for current prices on the internet of pre-builts with 5080 GPUs, both Intel and AMD, and this side-by-side chart shows that both versions are about average compared to the rest. Now, if you're at a different price point, these are my recommendations for every budget. I've also got links down below in the comments and description for all of them. If your budget is around $4,000, then like I showed earlier, one of the best deals now for a top-tier gaming PC is this Alienware Aurora R16 with an i9 and 4090. It's one of the last standing brands, if not the last standing brand, that still has a 4090 GPU. As we mentioned in that price to performance chart, it had one of the best price to performance ratios at 4K. In this current market of massively overinflated prices, the R16 is not that bad of a deal in comparison. Just keep in mind you're locked with a proprietary motherboard and proprietary power supply with that PC. You can never upgrade or replace those components with anything but Dell branded ones. Closer to $3,000, then I would get the Skytech King 95 with a 9800X 3D and 5080 GPU. This was one of my favorite gaming PCs when I reviewed it in the past, and this version is quite a bit more powerful than that specific configuration that I tested. This next one isn't as flashy and will run a little bit hotter with its smaller chassis, but right now this version of the Skytech Chronos has the same CPU and GPU of that King 95 that I just showed you, but this one only $2,700. It is a flash deal though, so it's probably not going to be that price for that much longer. Around around $2,500, and I'd go with the AVGPC Frostfire with the 7800 X3D and 4080 Super. This is a pretty good deal, but as of this recording, it's also back ordered because of high demand. Maybe by the time you see this, there might be more in stock. If you need to be around $2,000, then the Skytech Omega with a 7800 X3D and AMD's new 9070 XT GPU is a really good option. Closer to $1,500, and I'd recommend the iBUYPOWER Y40. This one that's on sale as of right now is just barely slower than the one that I reviewed, but also a whopping $200 less expensive. So it is actually a better buy than the exact configuration that I reviewed. And if that's still too much, then this Thermaltake LCGS View i460T with a 14th gen i7 and 4060 Ti is what I would get for just under $1,300. If you absolutely have to be under $1,000, or you're just now getting into PC gaming and you want your graphics to at least match that of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, then a semi-decent option would be this ABS Cyclone Aqua for just over $800. All of these products will be tagged directly on this video in this View Products tag. Overall, between these two, I'd go with the 9800 X3D version if gaming at lower resolutions, but definitely the Intel version if you do any 3D modeling, animation, motion graphics work, or editing. Both versions of this PC performed very well, especially for its price. They're easily upgradable and visually appealing, but as I showed you in that recommendations for every budget section, that Skytech King 95 with the exact same specs is $300 less, and much more beautiful in my opinion. Now, if you do decide to purchase this PC or any of the others that I mentioned, then please remember to use my affiliate links in the comments and description below, or using this View Products tag directly on this video, or this QR code if you're watching on a TV, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's actually a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. I'd also like to thank all of my members for their monthly support of this channel. Remember to check out this PC's raw benchmarks video with all of our actual gameplay and detailed live stats and exact graphic settings used. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date with all of our latest tech and gaming PCs. PC gaming is awesome, but please do not let it consume your life. What's helped me mentally is getting outside, staying healthy, and staying active, and spending more time with my family. Also, reading the Bible at least 4 times a week has been shown to massively improve your mental health. And if you're a little skeptical about the Bible, then check out the book or documentary, The Case for Christ.